Hey Boss Babes, welcome to your Sunday video. My name is Nicole Severson and today is your Census Sunday. And today I am talking about your inner critic. This inner critic of yours is based out of your ego and it causes a lot of chaos, causes a lot of self-harm, causes a lot of self-criticism. And so we're gonna dive into that today and talk about it. All of my coaching clients, every single person I've ever coached has some form of inner critic, as we all do. And it's usually the culprit that keeps us from going bigger. It keeps us playing small. It keeps us staying in the uncomfort of the comfortable, safe place that we're currently in. And when it's not addressed, it runs our life. So the first place to start with this is to start becoming aware. And usually this can feel like the most painful part is when you know you're doing it to yourself, but you can't help it. It's almost like you can't help but do it because it's been a pattern for so long. The next hardest piece is the implementing the changing. So instead of just letting that thought take you down, roll with it, and let it take you out of the game, you have to start to choose differently. So this is a practice. It is better and more efficiently done when done with self-love and compassion, because when you beat yourself up for where your self-critic is beating you up, it's just everybody's beating you up. So this is a practice of self and loving kindness, and it's a practice. It is a daily practice of catching yourself when your inner critic, your fear, your ego is running the show, and creating limiting beliefs, creating untrue beliefs. So this is also a piece of you questioning your thoughts. So not every thought that you have is a fact. Your thoughts really aren't facts. They're ideas, they're beliefs, they're things that you call to be true because you are consistently agreeing with or thinking them. And so this is really a practice of self-awareness, and it's also really seeing where the inner critic came from. So for many of us, this internalized self-critic, we created and internalized from our parents. So maybe one or both of our parents were, even if well-meaning, very hypercritical. Maybe they were very into performance, and so you had to externally have the grades or the good girl or whatever it is on the external that you were trying to keep up this perfection, which creates criticism. It's an inner criticism trying to be perfect when perfection is not real. And so this practice allows you to start to be aware of where your inner critic is chiming in. This can be anything from self-doubt to who do you think you are? I should be doing this way because someone else told me to. It can look like you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you'll never be enough. Whatever the thoughts in your mind that are keeping you from doing the next big thing that your heart, your intuition, your body is calling you forward to do. So you can be terrified and still have the courage to take the next step towards your dream. I know for me personally that I'm really nervous most of the time about my next big stretch, but it's having that trust of myself of I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I know that I trust that I'm going to be taken care of, and this I'll figure it out. And leading from that place of trust and love is where the intuition and the self-love is built. So the more that you can start allowing yourself to notice when the inner critic is coming up and choose differently, because whatever, you can have two plants, and whichever one you water and give fertilizer to is the one that's going to be thriving and growing. The other one that you don't water, you don't give any attention to or anything, is going to wither away, dry up, and die. So if you think about your inner critic in this way, if you start to stop watering it, nurturing it, and feeding it, you're able to then choose differently. You're able to then compassionately say, wow, that's not going to get me to where I want to go, or whatever conversation that looks like for you, to start to choose. I know that this is a pattern. I know that this isn't serving me in this moment, and how can I think differently? How can I choose differently? Or look at what the inner critic is trying to keep you safe from, because a lot of the time your inner critic is really just trying to keep you safe from bigger things. So if I'll use myself for example, I have in the past had a huge fear of public speaking, and for me, being seen, having my voice out there meant harm, meant sexual abuse. It meant that I was going to be humiliated and bullied. And so I had to do a ton of work on myself and the inner critic to really step into that those things weren't true. And my inner critic still comes up. I can hear it, you know, when I'm teaching a yoga class, it'll pop up and be like, everybody hates this class. And that person, the look on their face is like horrified, or like they hate this class, and afterwards they usually come up and say it was like their favorite class. And so, you know, it's learning how to be aware of your mind and knowing that it's not your true self, and using your mind to create and focus on the things that you want to create and focus on, instead of using your mind to take you out of the game. So for many of us, there's been a pattern of self-takeout, staying small. It's a coping mechanism that kept you safe at one point in your life but is no longer serving you. And it's your body's response. It's a learned behavior. It's a pattern. So I want to congratulate you if you've already become aware, and to also give you the space and the love around being really compassionate with yourself in this process of relearning, because many of you who are watching this have probably had these patterns for a very long time. And it's giving yourself the time and space, and to really talk to yourself and nurture yourself as you would a small child. So you're talking to your inner child and learning how to parent and nurture yourself in the way that maybe you never have been before, or maybe that you really just needed when you were a kid. I know this has been my process, and it's helped me heal immensely, of getting the validation, the approval, the love, the softness that I sometimes didn't feel like I had growing up. And it's in that shift and in that learning of new behaviors and ways of doing that your bigger shifts internally and externally are going to happen. So I want to share that with you today. If you have questions about this, I know this is it's a big topic trying to fit into like 4 minutes, and I've already gone over, but this is really what I work on with people in my coaching practice, is getting them to shift the inner dialogue so that they can have real confidence and sense of self, so that there's the loving, compassionate, nurturing inner self that then creates that in your external world as well. So I hope this serves you today on your Sunday, and I will see you soon. Happy Sunday.